Hello, I'm Mr. McBrien. This is TEJ2O, Computer Technology and Computer Engineering. When we approach the question of what is computer engineering, one way of looking at this is asking ourselves, how do we make devices smart? How do we link sensors and decision-making systems to devices in order to make them more convenient, safer, more effective? This is one of the approaches we take to investigating computer engineering at CKSS. Now, the Ontario curriculum, of course, governs the things that we investigate in computer engineering. In the broad strokes, these are the ideas they want us to look at. The fundamentals of computer technology, skills that we need in order to work in computer technology, talk about impact of technology to society and the environment, and talk about careers that might be investigated around computer technology. Now, we break it down into units in our class, again in broad strokes. Looking first at computer hardware, investigating design, repair, configuration of computers by first understanding the parts of their computer and their roles, looking at maintenance and troubleshooting, and installation of software and hardware. We then move on to networking, the connection of computers together. First, investigating the question of why we link them together, and then the design of these networks that effectively can exchange data between devices. And of course, safety is front and center for us in terms of security and other concerns around communicating between devices. Next, we look at the idea of the more basic circuit itself. We reviewed grade 9's investigation of the scientific principles of circuits and electricity, and then take this further, talking about communicating designs with wiring schematics, building circuits from those schematics using breadboarding technology, and then finally design of circuits to accomplish certain tasks. The final unit in the course is programming. We look at programming from a ground-up perspective because some students approach the course with no programming experience whatsoever. So we look at the structure of a computer program and then look at the most basic concepts like variables, loops, and decision-making structures. We investigate programming using almost always the Arduino microcontroller, and this allows us to control simple devices using sensors that we can configure ourselves and essentially implement our own decision-making devices. When we've covered all the basic concepts, the students are invited to apply these ideas in a summative project. This is a student-directed project where typically teams design an Arduino device to accomplish something, some simple task. In the past, we've had laser security systems, automated robots, animated LED cubes, and other devices that are implemented for working usually not connected to the computer. Now, in terms of the course structure, we use the provincially mandated Brightspace platform, and the course is broken down into the units we just discussed. The units are further broken down into lessons, and each lesson has the slides, a video lesson, an exit card, a practice assignment, and an assignment. So these exit cards are an electronic way to replace the old note templates where students filled in the information on a piece of paper as they as they attended the lesson and discussions. Now we have electronic exit cards, and these have some advantages. If there are any misunderstood concepts, students immediately know this because the exit cards are marked by bright space immediately. So the students will know what concepts they need to go and review in more detail. In terms of evaluations, almost every lesson has an evaluated assignment. So this has a whole lot of benefits. It allows us to confirm understanding on a daily basis rather than leaving things until major assignments or tests. It gives us an opportunity to have a practice assignment, usually, where students can first practice things before they have a graded assignment. And the combination of these things gives us a real advantage over more traditional approaches to learning, because students are inherently discouraged from effectively binge learning just before tests. Students are encouraged to use the time in the classroom effectively to complete their assignments immediately after the lessons. Now, we still do need to have tests. The tests tend to rely very heavily on exit card questions. So most of the questions on the test, the students have seen before when they completed their exit cards, and they had the opportunity to ask for clarification on the day the lesson was completed. Now, there are some additional questions, typically focused on points that were discussed in depth in class or that were contained inside an assignment. We have some challenges these days at CKSS. TEJ classes are typically very full, and this has led us to a situation where we simply don't have enough surfaces or enough equipment to be able to do class-wide simultaneous activities. So this has led us to the idea of these electronic assignments as being the primary source of evaluation. Having said that, there's equipment throughout the room, and students are encouraged to use their additional time to investigate additional ideas. And in some cases, students actually substitute given assignments with some pursuit that interests them. So as mentioned, it's impractical to give each student their own hardware kit for cost and space reasons. So we lean on online simulations to give students the ability to experiment and work independently, work at their own pace, but also to be able to complete projects at home. And in fact, the simulators have some equipment that we simply don't have in the classroom. And so this gives us some very interesting opportunities to do directed inquiry-based learning without necessarily having to be in the classroom. Now, all lessons have been recorded and placed on YouTube, and this gives some students a tremendous advantage. They can review the lessons when, where, and at what pace they choose. So this certainly helps with students who have a lot of absences, either due to illness or athletics. It helps with students who have IEPs, and maybe students who have some issues with following conversations in class at pace. This also has an additional benefit. You as parents have the opportunity to be present at any of the lessons, to listen in on the lessons and see what is going on in class each day. And There's an additional benefit to using YouTube for this, and that is that closed captions can be turned on, allowing students to visually see what they might not have heard through the microphone. Okay, so that's a quick overview of TEJ2O. We investigate computer technology, which is one of the key drivers of change in the world today. We look at careers and techniques spanning electrical engineering, computer science, and information technology. And we do this through looking at how devices are designed, constructed, and coded. Thanks very much for your time. I'm Mr. McBrien. Please feel free to approach me with any questions you may have.